you take the field now. You can make it feel proud in the street are in the lifting. Inhibition, vibration, in the round of inhibition, all around.
No, hi, good evening. I'm Surekha Podar from SHEcoaches. I want to ask you a small question. Are you all familiar with tongue twisters? Let's see whether you can do this. Repeat after me. All of you, remove your, your mic, your speakers on. So just repeat after me. Selvakani Selvaraj sells seashells on the seashore. Repeat. Please repeat after me. Selvakani Selvaraj sells seashells on the seashore. Once again. Selvakani Selvaraj sells seashells on the seashore. Let's all welcome Selva, who sells she sells by the seashore. Okay, yes. All of us have played with tongue twisters and enjoyed. Tongue twisters are unique in their application, and you might say, why am I bringing that here? But they help us with pronunciation, with memory, with concentration, and surprisingly, they're also fun, and they can be used as warm-up in the workshops. Yeah, these are contrasting uses of the same thing. Who would think that something which improves concentration can also be fun? Embracing radical candor is a bit like that. It is all about deep caring about your coachee while directly challenging her. It's all about being kind and clear and specific and sincere. And when used correctly, this radical candor can be a powerful tool for building strong, effective relationships with your team and a great culture in the organization. Who better to tell us about embracing radical candor in transformative coaching than Selva? Yes, Selvakani Selvaraj. She was a CHRO who is turned into an executive coaching executive leadership coach, and has 23 years of global HR leadership experience. She has completed entrepreneurial programs from IIM Bangalore. She is an OD and psychology specialist. She has worked at organizations like Mercedes-Benz, McKinsey, ThoughtWorks, besides many other, and understands the importance of radical candor and how that can bring beautiful culture within the organization. She is a thought leader, board member, mentor, speaker, podcaster, and a DEI evangelist. We require a lot of DEI evangelists now. And now with this talk, she's going to be a TEDx style speaker. So join me in welcoming Selva. Selva, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. So exciting to be here. Okay. Radical candor today, right? There was a time when being crystal clear and direct was my superpower. As an HR leader, I was celebrated for calling a spade, precise, and straight to the point. But when I transitioned into full-time leadership coaching, that very strength became my barrier. I hit a wall. You see, I challenge clients directly with questions like, why is it that you cannot deliver as you committed? Or what is the real problem in doing what you agreed to do? This approach often pushed the clients into defense mode, creating walls between us. To be an effective coach, just like in any relationship, I realized I needed to build bridges, not walls. I wanted to learn how to build that bridge. I drew upon my own life experiences to understand the value of tough, candid feedback. Once, when I approached my boss feeling overwhelmed by my role as head of HR, he humorously asked, "If this job was easy, why would you think we've hired you?" That hit me hard, like a wake-up call. That comment made me realize I needed to take ownership rather than play the victim role. That moment transformed my outlook and empowered me to embrace my role fully. It now helps me to understand, to recall that moment and realize that radical candor is not being about being cold or blunt, but about sharing honest feedback directly with care and empathy. And if I really wanted to offer transformative experience to my clients, which is what my passion is, I needed to learn how to be radically candorous. So I knew where I wanted to go, but honestly, I didn't even know what that really meant in real life, in everyday conversations between coach and a client. It's a very precious, sacred relationship, you see. So it felt like climbing this mountain with no top. The fact that even if I offered $1 million to somebody, I couldn't buy a cup of radical candor. It made me realize it's something that I had to create for myself from within me. Are you curious how I managed to navigate this tough climb and carve out radical candor for myself? Come, let's embark on this journey together and learn how to master the delicate balance of being both truthful and kind. Like all of us here, I craved for that love and respect from my clients. But here is what I realized. Radical candor might make me less light in the moment because it can feel like a jolt, like a slap in the face even when shared. But in the long run, it earns deep respect because it creates that powerful shifts for clients. As coaches, all our goal is to genuinely challenge our clients and deliver a transformational experience for them. A true game changer for us as professionals, isn't it? So I began this journey by trusting myself first fully and keeping my full faith when every time doubt knocked in my door. And I applied these 3 principles in every conversation towards radical candor being a transformative element in coaching relationship. Number 1, building trust. Number 2, creating a safe environment for the client. And number 3, definitely not the least, partnering as equals. On building trust, there's this pivotal and powerful scene in Good Will Hunting movie for those who've seen. And for those who've not, I'd recommend that you watch that scene again, where Sean, played by Robin Williams, the therapist, opens up about the quirks he misses about his late wife, like how she used to fart in her sleep. This very raw human moment helps the client drop his defenses. In relationships, imperfection is not just acceptable, but also very much relatable, humane. It builds trust and deepens the connection between the two. When I started coaching, I thought clients would come ready, sharing their problems and challenges and struggles. But that didn't happen. A client was hesitant to open up, and I did everything possible to let her share, open up, right? I said things like, feel free to share. I'm here to listen. I'm a professional. This is no judgment. And the regular things that all of us do and mean it as well. But only that didn't help. She still, I felt, wasn't ready. But it sort of magically happened when I shared my own vulnerable moments with her and how I navigated them, not expecting her to share, but to really make her comfortable. And voila, before I could even ask her of anything, she slowly but steadily gained comfort in sharing her world. And so, by being truly vulnerable, not asking somebody something, but by showcasing that I can be vulnerable, I had invited her to be naturally vulnerable without my demand for it. And from there, our conversations became more meaningful, more heartfelt. So from this experience, this is what I learned. Breaking down walls and creating bridges starts with letting my own guard down first and being vulnerable and authentic. So that helped me build a bridge of trust and form a deeper connection with my clients. And that's my invitation to you as well. The next time you feel a wall between you and someone else, consider stepping into your own vulnerability. You might find that the most genuine connections might start with a simple crack in the armor. Next, how did I create a safe space for reflection? By consciously becoming an observer, not a judge. You might wonder, this is no secret ingredient for us coaches, right? Isn't it? Like how Master Oogway of Kung Fu Panda says, the secret is that there is no secret. But the essence is not just in knowing or the intent, but in practicing to be a non-judgmental observer every minute of your conversation. That's the real hard part. So the question for me was, am I able to catch myself in that moment when I am judging, when there is a parallel processing happening in my mind, and turn off the judge and turn on the observer, truly becoming the observer in that journey? I was once coaching this director who was consistently falling short on leadership visibility in his organization, which was holding him back from his promotion. Instead of jumping to conclusion or a judgment, which was my usual pre-coach life, with this practice, I consciously activated my observer hat and asked, do you see visibility as a crucial element for your growth? Or is it something that you're intentionally avoiding? This direct question prompted him to admit that he actually felt insecure about speaking up in executive meetings. And once that happened, he started to address this underlying fear and figure out the core of it. And then we partnered together for a strategy that played to his strength. He soon became more visible, more comfortable building his visibility and confident. You know, on a personal note, I have been, should I say, victim of this very critical of myself and this perfectionism syndrome, which made me very unhappy at work. My mentor then asked me, when was the last time you felt genuinely satisfied with your work, just as how it was, without obsessing over that teeny-weeny details over perfection? I knew in my heart the answer was never. And that question made me realize, oh my God, how come this pursuit of perfection has led me to affect my own well-being and productivity? That shift happened because he was able to be an observer and ask that question for me. In both cases, the key was to approach conversations with observation rather than judgment. And therefore, I constantly trained myself to focus on observations and asking open-ended, curious questions. And that's how I was able to create that space for reflection and growth without the criticism. So the next time you are giving feedback or addressing an issue with someone, ask yourself, am I observing here or being a judge? Now, once that trust was established and a safe space was created, the next important step for me was to shift me and my mindset. Let me share more. The key to effective radical candor is approaching each session with a sense of genuine equality. I would ask myself, do I truly value myself as equal with the client? This very mindset transforms mere exchanges into a powerful and an honest dialogue. Consider this collaboration between A.R. Rahman and Gulzar on the Lagan soundtrack. At the time, Gulzar was an esteemed lyricist, but Rahman was an emerging talent still in Bollywood. Despite their different career trajectories, they approached their partnership as equals. Rahman's music was shaped by Gulzar's lyrics and vice versa. Their mutual respect and equality led to something truly extraordinary. When I think about a client with significant power or prestige, my instinct was to impress them and even prove my worth. Like in this case of my high-profile client who came to work on his unconscious bias. Me, in the need to impress, went with a bag of tools and frameworks and presented how he could really use any of them to overcome his bias. But clearly this approach fell flat and he discarded one by one mercilessly. I had turned the session in my head into this performance showcase instead of a genuine exchange. That's when it hit me. What am I doing here? I had to hardwire myself to feel truly equal, no matter what the level and background of the client is, consistently. I asked myself, now that I am here, what can I do differently so that I feel equal, genuinely equal? So in the next session, instead of introducing another tool, I asked him, what do you think you must now do to overcome this unconscious bias? This led him to question his own beliefs about those biases and address them one by one. That's when our genuine partnership truly began. That wouldn't have happened had I remained in my older patterns of pleasing or impressing the client. You see, we all seek love and respect. Radical candor is all about tough love, earning us the respect first, with the understanding that genuine love and connection will definitely follow when you build that bridge of trust and honesty. So before every conversation, I invite you to picture this. See yourself walking into that room where you stand on equal footing with your client. No barriers, no hierarchy, just two people committed to an honest exchange. Do you feel that shift from performance to genuine partnership? I'd invite you to close your eyes and recall that time, a moment in your life when you felt truly heard and respected. Remember how that changed everything for you. That's the power of radical candor. We're honest difficult, but compassionate dialogue sparks real growth. So every time you have a challenge with radical candor, carry that image with you. Approach your next conversation as an equal partner. Build that bridge with trust and vulnerability. Let go of the need to impress and let trust, authenticity, and equality guide the way for you. That's where true transformation begins. So every time doubt knocks you, are you ready now to take that leap of faith and embrace that radical candor in your conversations for transformation? Thank you.
Really spellbound, Selva, absolutely spellbound. I don't think at this point of time I can do any tongue twister, zero. So I'm really loving this radical candor. To me, in my head, for coaching, it was really all about direct communication. But this whole aspect of adding layers to it through radical candor, I think is proving to be so insightful to me. And I loved your tough love thing. I love so I think all of us have gained little things. I mean, one of the genuine things is genuine equality. Whether you're feeling superior or inferior, I think it is really about genuine equality. It is really about being the observer so that you can create that safe space. So thank you so much for giving those insights and lovely stories, because that A.R. Rahman, Gulzar will stay in our head. That whole thing about, your mentor asking you question about, did you genuinely feel, perfect? When did you last feel that? So it is about observation and asking those genuine questions with a lot of deep care. So thank you so much for bringing this in. Really loved it. Anybody else who wants to ask questions can really, I'm currently a little spellbound. I'm unable to express too much. Thank you so much, Selva, for being so genuine. That's all I mean, it came across so genuine, so full of stories, so much of learning. Thank you.